Allah sent him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. This way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd fa inna asdiqal hadith kitabullah wa awtaka al-ura kalimatu taqwa wa khayrul milali milatu Ibrahim wa khayru sunani sunatu Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ashraful hadith dhikrullah wa asanu al-kasasi hadha al-Quran wa khayrul umuri awazzimuha wa shayrul umuri muhtatatuha wa asanu al-hadyu hadyu al-anbiya wa ashraful maut katlu shuhada wa amma alama dalalatul ba'd al-huda wa khayrul amali ma nafa'a wa khayrul hadi ma utba'a wa shayrul amma al-kalb. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam has said the most truthful of discourses is Kitabullah, or the book of Allah, and the most trustworthy word is taqwa, or the fear of Allah. The best of the community is the community of Prophet Ibrahim. The best way of life is the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The remembrance of Allah is the most glorious of all things. The best of all narrations is Quran. The best acts are those requiring the highest degree of will and determination. The worst acts are those based on innovation. The best way of life is the one adopted by the prophets of Allah. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most wretched blindness consists of going astray after finding the right way. The best acts are the ones that yield benefits. The best guidance is that which people may be able to follow. The worst blindness is the blindness of the heart. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allah yahmuru bil adli wal ihsani wa ita'i dil qurba wa yanha anil fashai wal munkari wal bagi ya'idhukum la'alakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice, the doing of good, and liberality to kith and kin. He forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. فَمَنْ يُرِيدِ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ. Those whom Allah in His plan willeth to guide, He opens their breasts to Islam. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu attaqullaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutuna illa wa antum muslimun. O you believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and die not except in a state of Islam. Wa tasimu bihablillahi jami'an wa la tafarraqu. Hold on all together by the rope which Allah stretches out to you, and be not divided. Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lil nasi ta'muruna bil ma'rufi wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. You are the best peoples ever raised up for mankind, enjoining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, and believing in Allah. Aqulu qawli hadha wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursalin Muhammadin al-Nabi al-Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd, yaqulu Allahu ta'ala fil Quran al-Kareem, inna Allaha wa malaikatuhu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu tasliman. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Mulana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We sent them with clear signs and scriptures, and we have sent down unto thee also the message, that thou mayest explain clearly to men what was sent to you for them, and that they may give thought. Do then those who devise evil plots feel secure that Allah will not cause the earth to swallow them up, or that the wrath will not seize them from directions that they little perceive, or that He may not call them to account in the midst of their going to and fro, without a chance of their frustrating Him, or that He may not call them to account by the process of slow wastage. For thy Lord is indeed full of kindness and mercy. Whether we shall show thee within thy lifetime part of what we promised them, or take to ourselves thy soul before it is accomplished. Thy duty is to make the message reach them. It is our part to call them to account. See they not that we gradually reduce the land and their control from its outlying borders, where Allah commands, there is none to put back His command, and He is swift in calling account. Those before them did also devise plots. But in all things, the master planning is Allah. He knoweth the doings of every soul, and soon will the unbelievers know who gets home in the end. This is a statement, couple of ayats or several ayats that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, and it gives us some food for thought about today and the time in which we're living. There's another ayat that says, hence, leave me alone with such as give the lie to the tidings. We shall bring them low, step by step, without their perceiving how it has come about. For behold, though it may give them rain for a while, my subtle scheme is exceedingly firm. Of course, you can see this is talk about the rise and fall of civilizations, the expanding and the contraction of governments and empires and what have you. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it very clear. I have a shirt on under here, you can't see it, but it's one of the ones that we made called Boss Man Bites the Dust. And we have these same ayats that we read. In fact, there's a couple downstairs that we could show you. So here's the idea for today. We're going to read some commentary because we had promised ourselves that during this month we would do a lot of tafsir of Quran. You know, that means just reading a lot of the tafsir of the Quran or commentary on the Quran. But in going to do that, we sent them with clear signs and scriptures And we have sent down unto thee the message, that thou mayest explain clearly to men what is sent for them, and that they may give thought. Do then those who devise evil plots feel secure that Allah will not cause the earth to swallow them up, or that the wrath will not seize them from directions they perceive not. From directions that they perceive not, it means that, of course, as some of the other ayats talk about, is systems always try to defend itself. Pharaoh had grandees and others, troops and armor, and it was to defend itself. It had snitches and informers and all kind of people in and out of his community, and they informed Pharaoh and his managers, and those leaders and those organizers devised plots and schemes to preserve the Pharaonic Empire, which was known as Egypt in those days. In fact, it still is. But there's a process in history, and we see it in the rise and fall of empires. So if we look at Rome, Rome was the greatest ruler in the world for centuries, many, many centuries. And then it went through a process of slow wastage. It's what the Quran calls slow wastage. That means that it went through a process of decline. That means that no matter how many plans they had, the Quran says, "Wa makaru wa makarullahu Allahu khairul makirin." They plan and Allah planned, and the best of planners is Allah. So Allah already has His plan, and the non-believers have their plan. But Allah is the best of planners because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator. He created them, and He gave each group of people their time for management, for rule, or what have you. Not so He'll see how they do, but so they'll see themselves how they do. And so the world will see how this thing happens. Now, if you look in the world today at Boss Man, the United States of America is being brought down. Its image is being destroyed. And the leadership in America is being humiliated, especially during this time. And I don't know if y'all remember that we made dua some months back that, oh Allah, bring these people down with foolishness, make a fool out of them. You know what I mean? Turn them into clowns and turn them into buffoons. And this is who we got. We got Donald Trump. And every time that man comes on TV, right, he presents himself as a clown, as a buffoon, and as the most unknowing of the unknowers. He's a professional, I don't know. I mean, and it's so hilarious that it's thing that children know. Like every child is taught to read the label on that bottle, right? And that bottle will say, if it's Clorox, don't drink this. If you happen to drink a little or get a spoonful or something, right, and swallow it, then call this number, right? Okay. And then head straight for the hospital or the doctor. Now, everybody knows that. But Don, he come to an idea, you know, that to him it makes sense. If Clorox, if bleach and all of that will clean a surface, think about it, like this right here, and make it spotlessly clean. And on the bottle it says it will kill 99.9% of bacteria. Y'all ever see that? That's what it says on mostly all soaps. So Don come to a conclusion that if it will clean the outside, why, of course it would clean the inside. So what we want to do is encourage people to either drink it or inject it. This boy said inject it. Now, I don't know how much y'all know about dope, but they got battery acid and stuff. It's called a hot shot. If you shoot that in you, bam, you dead. I think chemically, the closest thing you can get to battery acid for a hot shot is bleach. If you got filthy water, chlorine in the swimming pool and all that, it just cleans and purifies things. The formula for cleaning water, polluted water, is per 1 gallon. If you got a gallon of water, you take 1 tablespoon of bleach, regular bleach. If you ever get caught somewhere stuck and you don't know whether the water is purified or not, all you do is take 1 tablespoon of bleach, put it in that water. Let it set a minute, and you can drink that water. If it's bacteria, if it's chemicals, it's got mercury in it, it don't do nothing with that. But if it's regular, any bacteria, but the formula is 1 tablespoon per gallon, not just take a pint, put it in a little flask like they got the whiskey, and just turn that boy up and clean yourself out. Can you imagine the world went into a panic? And some people even tried it because, see, if an authority figure gives some advice, they think, well, he must know something we don't know. Now, I wouldn't do that usually. That boy, they had to have denouncing, and they had to have everything. The doctors, the lawyers, the engine chiefs, everybody was talking in the media about, please, right? Don't drink no bleach and don't inject nothing into your body like that. Okay? All of the things that are going on in the world, America's trying to blame China and everybody for this problem. But China picked up on theirs right away, bam. And now they walking around doing what they want. Why? Because they had the means and they jumped on it right away. In Korea, Koreans right now are out running around, they partying, right? But you see the Koreans had full dress outfits on, and they had these breathers on that they breathe through, it's filtered through that, their whole process. So the Koreans had the means and the methodology, and they cleaned everything up, and they waited a while, and now it ain't nothing in Korea. And the Koreans is out running around. So the Koreans and the Chinamans who got hit first, right away, they cleaned it up. But you see the Koreans on TV, they had full face masks. The one working in medicine, they had full face masks. In fact, they had on one of them hazmat suits all the way. And they had breathers either right on their face or on their side. And you could see that they didn't breathe in nothing and they wasn't giving out nothing. Right? And then you see the great United States of America and the UK, how they handled it. Oh, Don said, well, shoot, this will be over in about a week or 2. We'll be back in business. This ain't gonna hurt us. Sounded like the Yahoo used to say, whatever it is, it ain't gonna hurt us, but for a few numbered days, like heaven and hell, or they say we ain't gonna be there but a couple of days. That's what they actually believe. Or for a minute, or just to remind us of something. So that's the way Don was. So Don said, yeah, we ain't gonna be in this. That was a little over a month ago. Now the death numbers in the United States a little over a month ago was about 1,000 or 2,000 or something like that. Maybe not even that much. But today I think it's 68,000. Let me just have 64,349. Now it changed all the time, but since I wrote this, 64, those are all real people. Hey man, now I mean, first we was taking kind of easy, but it's starting to, wait a minute. 64,000 people? That's starting to become a lot of people. And there's several thousand people right here in Maryland and Virginia and D.C. itself. Hey, man, that's starting to be people. But Don said, don't y'all worry, we're going to be back in business in a hot minute. And then America, the great ruler, America pulled out of all the world organizations, and even the World Health Organization. They pulled out of that, WHO they call it, right? So the world was looking for leadership to the United States. And the United States failed on every point. It failed on the tools, the mask, they didn't have no mask, right? They're getting it together now, better, but it still ain't, the people are saying we need better health care material. How is it that, the people that's caring for people are dying like flies? And his old homeboy over in Europe, in London, he was talking just like Trump. Oh, we're going to be all right. And he just got out of the hospital the other day. Yeah, he was laid up for 2-3 weeks with the virus. This making a fool out of people comes in many different ways. And so you look at the United States that should be a leader of the world, it can't produce any of its own products. How can it be without things like ventilators and what have you? They showed pictures of some countries like Iran. They just got assembly. They producing ventilators in Iran. Their stuff is on a decline. But America is on the incline, even today. And what are they doing? They're saying, we're going to let y'all go out and run around and, and then the clown, liberate your states. And the people jump up. Look, I don't know if y'all saw the news about the white folks in Michigan. These is gun-toting Euros. Now, when the Black Panther Party hit the State House in California, the State Assembly in 1966, they panicked almost. That's how they banned guns in California. But in Michigan, you ought to see them. They standing there with their stuff at the State Assembly or the state capitol and threatening the white woman that's the governor. You ought to do this, and Don tweeted this morning, oh, those are some good people. Boy, he got some serious friends. Those are good people there. It don't make no difference whether 80% of the people in America say, we don't want to do no mixing. We don't want to die. We just don't want to die. You know what I mean? We don't want to be out there just going out, rubbing hands, and then dying. We don't want to do that. We don't want to participate in this folly, right, of opening up so soon that you don't know what the numbers are going to say. And then look at the economy. The economy then took a dive. What is it now? Can you imagine 30 million people? That's what they said yesterday. 30 million people. are now on unemployment. Now that don't worry about that. 30 million people, that means it's double the people that needs money. But they only going to give it to the ones that's classified and certified money needers. But the ones that's been getting money on the side, which is most of the Latinos, a lot of the African Americans, and just a lot of Americans that want to get a little money on the side, they can't get none of that money. And the businesses, do you know what deficit spending is? America, the government, has to print money for the states. It's a whole 50 states, and probably at least 40 of them need money. Now, these big states, Texas gonna need money. California already said we need money. New York saying it right, hey, we need big money. That means each state needs billions of dollars. That's gonna add up to trillions, because the people, the state is the one that give you your social, all them little old checks, po' boy we used to call it, I don't know, unemployment, yeah. They give out them checks. The government got to give them the money to give to the people. If they don't give the people money, first of all, this is the first, they talking about rent strikes today already. All over the America, they talking about rent strikes. Some say, well, we're going to give you a little break, 3-month break. Some say, we're going to give you a break, but then after you got to have a balloon payment to pay all the money back after. And then the people saying, hey, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. First of all, we're going to be broke. Like now, if you get a check, it's been a month without money. Have you seen the lines of cars for the people that have food, need food? You look at those cars are newish. Those not old clunkers. Every car in that line is last 5 years, they look like they, right? You see them cars of people coming, getting food? Those are new cars. They got air conditioning, all that stuff, tinted windows. They new cars. They need food. They need food, and they need it now. They say at 8 o'clock in the morning, the lines are a mile long in those cars already. You can see it on TV. You can see it all the time. I want you to think about the view of how the world sees America now. How did America perform when it faced a challenge? And this is the beginning of the challenge. This is not the end of it. See, everything is starting now, and it's building up, it's picking up weight to slide down the hill. Yes, it's 30 million people need unemployment. That's 30 million people that got there to sign up. The other people haven't even had time to get in, because every time you punch a button, the system go down. Why? It's simple. It's overloaded. All the systems overloaded. And people that need money, the first big money, they gave all that money away because they gave big chunks of it away to all their friends. They gave it away to all that just 2 weeks ago. They gave all that money, was gone within a week, easy. All the middle class and poorer people, the money they supposed to get, now they're talking about that's coming through the line. And we're going to hook you up. And the people see all of that. I'm trying to paint you a picture of how the world sees America. Is it America the Great? America the efficient, the effective, right? No. America is being reduced by a process of slow wastage, step by step, leading down, right? Being brought down in the eyes of the public. What public? The whole world, external and internal. Inside the United States and outside the United States. And like I said, that's what our shirt says. Boss man bites the dust. So Allah is saying to the Prophet, whether we show you this stuff in your lifetime or postpone it, don't you worry about it. Your job, that thou mayest explain clearly to men what is sent to them, that they may give thought. In other words, this is a clear sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these signs say that you should explain to the public the reality of what the message is. Right. Then it goes on to say, or that they may not call them to account in the midst of their goings, to and fro without a chance, or they're frustrating him. Now, because before that, do then those who devise evil plots feel secure that Allah will not cause the earth to swallow them up, or that the wrath will not seize them from directions they perceive not. Pharaoh was brought down from a position that he didn't perceive. He had plans and schemes. The great British Empire. The sun never set on the British Empire, but it was brought down, right, from directions and by forces that they did not perceive. Whether it was Rome, whether it was the British, Pax Romania, Pax Britannica, and Pax Americana. That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the visualization of decline of a historical, dynamic empire that had global implications, that is brought down before our eyes. We're living in that period. We're living in well, every period is a great historical period, but this period is the period when we're alive. Therefore, it's the greatest period because we're alive during this period, right? And for us, this is it. The past is not any of our, can't go back and fix history, nor can we extend our life beyond what Allah done wrote it to be, to go into the future and fix that up. We can't do that. But what we can do is right now, we're alive in this time. And sure, we'll deal with it later in the commentary, but we don't need to be sad. Well, that's a bad way to put it, but we shouldn't overburden ourselves with our lack of ability to influence global events as long as we're doing our part during the time that we're living in. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the messenger. I have several ayats. I don't know if I should read them all because it's quite a bit. Whenever the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam felt that the people did not accept the message in spite of his continuous preachings, he cherished the wish that Allah might send such a clear sign that they would have no alternative left with them but to accept the message. In this verse, Allah has commanded his messenger against cherishing any such desire, so as to say, do not show impatience at their obduracy, but go on performing your mission persistently in a way and order we are laying it down. It is this mission, or if this mission had to be performed by means of a miracle, of miracles, could we not ourselves have done so? This is now what Allah is saying. If you wanted to depend on a miracle showing everybody, right? Or the signs convincing everybody, right? Then couldn't I just make the people, there's a sign? Or in one of the commentaries, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I could have made the people like angels or anything. If I wanted to, if I didn't want to put on the human being, right, something different. Now, I want to diverge just 1 second. The angels are perfect beings. What I mean by perfect is they do exactly what they ordered to do. Some ayah says, we only hymn the praises of Allah. They only do what, right? That's what they do. Okay. So they can't not do that. But then why is a human being can be better than an angel? And an angel don't make no mistakes. Because of the combat, the angel has no combat mission with the shaitan. But the human being is set in this world, and he has to face the challenge daily, hourly, sometimes down to the minute, of the shaitan who's persistent in encouraging evil, who is insistent in you following his way. So therefore, the human being can rise above the angels, and he can sink down quite a ways. But we know that this method is not suitable for bringing about that intellectual and moral revolution, and for the establishment of the righteous society for which you have been appointed as a messenger. If, however, you cannot endure the heart-burning caused by their indifference and rejection, and if you imagine that a tangible sign might appeal to them, is required to break this inert state in their minds, then you should yourself try to bring about such a sign. You may, if you can, go deep down into the bowels of the earth, or ascend up to the heavens for this purpose. But you should not expect from us that we will fulfill this desire of yours, for there is no room for it in our scheme. This is Allah, this is commentary, Allah telling the messenger. There's several ayats, so we've probably been reading the Quran. So there's many ayats you come to that I was not sent here, or we didn't send you as a supervisor over their affairs, right? We didn't send you to call them account. We sent you to preach openly and clearly. Okay. This is to impress that it is not the purpose of Allah that each and every human being should be forced to accept the guidance somehow, or some way or the other. Had it been so, he would have created them in such a way that they would have been righteous at birth. If we go on and on and on, and we can see that in some cases, people are scientists, engineers. They study botany, sociology, psychology. They're digging up in the earth, and they see all the signs of olden days. You know, they go out and they digging up in the earth, and they say, man, that was actually big giant dinosaurs, right? That they actually existed, or the bones wouldn't be there, right? And they find digs all over the place that those things really existed. Those things should, when they study astronomy, it would be difficult to explain even the size and complexity of the universe. It's unbelievable. Do they think it just happened? Right? Therefore, those things should convince them that Allah is real. Even, I think it was Einstein, they asked him, did he believe in God? He says, I believe in the God of Spinoza. And that's the one that reveals himself in the orderly operation of nature. So Einstein, they big brain, he said, this stuff that I'm doing, you couldn't do it if there wasn't a creator that put that together. Because that stuff works the same way all the time. It has rules, it has disciplines, it has all of that going for it, right? That's not luck or happenstance or evolution. They talk about evolution like, me and you evolved. Hey, all of this universe, I know we've been here on this earth, it's been here, say 4.5 billion years. That's a long time. But that's not enough time, right, to put me and you together. From a one-cell animal, where did a one-cell animal come from? The Quran says, same thing the Big Bang Theory says, that the earth was one solid mass and then we clove it asunder. And they have scientists now saying, yeah, the universe is expanding. That means that there was an explosion long time ago. Where did that explosion come from? You can't get an explosion from nothing, right? Where did it all come from? These scientists, it should help them be guided. Those are signs that are so constant and stable, right, that it should lead. So it says, whoso observes such signs may enlighten the minds in their hearts with faith. But they seem to see no enlightenment. Their minds and hearts and the faiths, they seem to see no sign to lead them to the reality. They don't see no signs. There's one guy, look here. And I'll read this. This is about Ikramah, son of Abu Jahl, who was an arch enemy of Islam, was led toward Islam by witnessing such a sign. Now this guy, this sign hit him. When the Holy Prophet ﷺ conquered Mecca, Ikramah fled to Jeddah and he sailed to Abyssinia, to Ethiopia. During the voyage, there came a furious storm which threatened to sink the boat. At first, the passengers began to invoke their gods and goddesses for help. But when the storm became so violent that they feared that the boat was going to sink, they all cried out that this is not the time to call on anyone except Allah. Because remember, the Arabs, all them people in that area, they knew that they had little petty gods, but they knew in their mind that there's a big one up there running the show. So, because he alone can save us, this is what they said when they thought they was going to sink. This opened the eyes of Ikramah and the locked doors of his heart. If there's none except Allah to help us, how can there be any to help us in the other place? If that God's right there on the ship, over the ship, and that's who they calling on, then that one is there and he's in the other place too. This is what Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been teaching us for the last 20 years. And we have been fighting against him about it. That was the most decisive moment in the life of Ikrimah. He made a solemn pledge with Allah to this effect: if I escape from this storm, I will directly go to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to become one of his followers. Allah rescued him from the storm, and he fulfilled his pledge. He not only became a Muslim, but spent the rest of his life in the service of Islam, performing jihad. Ikrimah, Abu Jahl's son. So that was a sign enough for him. You know, the boat getting ready to sink, or it's just shaking a little bit. Everybody, yeah, man, and all them names. And then the shaking gets serious, you know, and they know this is serious here. So then they start calling on Allah. So Ikrimah is watching all of this. He say, hey, man. And he says to Allah, if you get me out of this, you don't have to worry about me no more. I'm headed back home. I'm going to this man. He been telling us there ain't no God but Allah for 20 years, and we've been fighting him day in and day out about it. And I'm on the run. I done run off from Mecca to get away from his rule. Right? They done captured Mecca. So he gonna go to Ethiopia, Abyssinia. So he comes across, this is almost like Job, you know, like almost something like that. When he look up and see what's going on, that sign alone rescued him. And he went back, he became a Muslim, and he fought in jihad. You can find his history amongst the Sahaba. He fought in jihad for the rest of his life. Almost every jihad. Now, there's another one. That is, it is not a part of my duty to make you see what you would not see, and to make you understand what you would not understand. Nor am I responsible for bringing down a scourge on you if you would not see or understand. The only duty that has been assigned to me is to make quite plain to you the destination or the distinction between truth and falsehood. Nor that I have done, now that I have done my duty to you, you have rejected the truth. The evil consequences of which I have been warning you will appear in due course. Remember, I'm not here to watch over your deeds. I'm not here to command you. I'm not here to make you do anything. It says in the sentence, I am not a keeper over you. Allah is speaking in the first person to his prophet on his own behalf. Up here it says, I am not a keeper over you. Is this: my only duty is to present it before you. Then it is for you to open your eyes to see it, or to keep your eyes shut like a blind man. It is not my duty to force open your eyes of those who deliberately keep them shut and to make them see what they do not want to see. In other words, it's very clear. As we're doing whatever we do here, we might have our personal goals and, dreams. We cannot let our personal hopes for the people get in the way of the spirit of revelation. Revelation that was to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that told him, and he's a prophet, that I am not sent here as a supervisor, as a guard, as a director over your affairs. If you see these signs, that's good for you. If you don't see the signs, it must be because Allah has set a seal over your heart. And that seal is set not by Allah making it your heart harden. If Allah did that, that would take away your free will. ختم الله قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة والله عذاب عظيم. Allah have placed a gishawa over your eyes, and over your heart is a seal. A gishawa is a veil. Like if the windows have one Arab, he said, no, gishawa is like a veil. It says if there's light outside, you could see the light through that, but you couldn't see the shapes of things. You couldn't distinguish what it was, but when it gets light, you can see that light is out there, right? So this gishawa and this khatam, the seal, a lock that's placed over the hearts of people, is because their own predisposition toward ignorance, right? Their own desire to remain in the state that they're in. So that's where the rules and guidelines and regulations of Allah, it means this. This is another one. This is all on the same subject. And I'm not reading all of them, but most of them, because this is, let's call it a little bit of tafsir. It means this. You have been appointed to invite the people to the message and not to keep watch over them like a police inspector. Therefore, your only duty is to present the message to the people and try to convince them of the truth. After that, I leave it to them to accept the truth or to reject it. You have not been appointed to force people to accept it so as to leave no worshiper of falsehood within the range of your prophethood. In other words, this is something, the Prophet, peace be upon him, was a really kind and loving person, and he just wanted everybody to, hey, this is good for you. And he wanted them to accept it. But guess what? A lot of people didn't accept it. So Allah saw this burning in his heart, his desire for his people to find the right way. His people were totally misled. They were mainly drunkards. They were drunkards, the people in Arabia. And they were in debt. And guess what? The Yahud controlled both. When this revelation started coming, we'll go through some of it a little later, and it talks about the people and talking about certain things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala arranged this Quran in an evolutionary way so that it would evolve into the hearts of the people. And then the people would see, right, what was good, and they would begin to accept it. Now the Yahud control two things. He controlled the alcohol industry, and they controlled the usury industry. They were loan sharks. So technically, the Jews kept the Arabs drunk and broke. Does that remind you of any people in modern times? They drunk and broke. But if they ever unify, boy, there's something going on. Don't you remember the Yahud came into the masjid in Medina and saw the warm feeling of all the Muslims? And the Yahud looked in the window and he came in and told them, he said, don't you remember this guy killed your uncle? This guy killed your brother. Then the Muslims start arguing with each other. This is in Al-Medina. The Prophet ﷺ came and he said, this is Jahiliyyah. This is ignorance. The Yahud couldn't stand it. Who do you think can't stand me and you getting nothing going on right now? It's the Yahud. Who do you think is over all the Arab studies program? When I studied Arabic once in Indiana and I wanted to tighten it up a little bit, I went to UC Berkeley. The teacher was a friend of mine, you know, and just came back from Egypt. In fact, there was a white lady, and she was teaching Arabic to everybody. Everybody in the class was potential, getting ready to be agents to work in all of the Arabic institutions and to brainwash the people and mislead the people. This was 35 years ago. Ever since I can remember, every drop of information that comes to us is channeled through them, right? Today, some of our people have got they're trying to get in there, but if you're going to find out about Islamic information, it's going to come through Yahud. If you're going to watch anything coming to us about Islam through the media, it's going to be chopped up and misdirected and refried and recooked, and it's going to come through Yahud. That's why everybody have a serious misunderstanding of Islam in the United States and in the world. Why? Because it's coming through Yahud. The Yahud just got today, Hezbollah put on the blacklist or something like that in Germany. Why? Why? Because the Yahud has infiltrated all the German, all of the Western CIA type organizations, security services, and they blackmail them all. They sit in there and they hang and they get information on them, and then they go and blackmail this person. Pretty soon they're all the way up to the top. They're all the way up to the top all over the world. The same evil mind that was directing the Yahud in those days is the same mind that is directing the Yahud. Now, when I say the Yahud, I mean the Israeli type. I don't mean the good Jewish people of the world. I don't mean them. We speak with them all the time. In fact, the rabbis and those guys, the brothers will tell you, we had a demonstration out there on the lawn, and when they saw me, they said, oh, he pointed to all his young rabbis with all the curls and that. This is our friend. Remember that? He said, this is our friend. Talking about me. So it ain't, because we've learned to distinguish who is who in detail. Okay, now we'll move toward a close. So the Prophet ﷺ was not appointed to make us follow this truth. But we have to remember, in the rise or fall of civilizations, the American civilization is in trouble. And I'll close by rereading this step-by-step decline. We sent them with clear signs and scriptures, and we have sent down unto thee also the message, that thou mayest explain clearly to men what is sent for them, and that they may give thought. Do then those who devise evil plots feel secure that Allah will not cause the earth to swallow them up, or that the wrath will not seize them from directions they little perceive? In other words, don't worry about boss man. Boss man is headed down, and there seems to be no break or slowdown. This is the way it appears to us, that there's nothing. See, when Allah set a plan, it ain't nothing you can do about Allah's plan. You can stop company XYZ's plan, against you, or your competitor down the street. You can stop their stuff, or you can short stop it. But when Allah hooks you up, that tractor beam that Allah has created got you tracked, and you just caught. There ain't nothing you can do. If you try to do something economic, won't let you do it. That anything you do, if you give money away, fine. You'll protect the stock market for about 2 weeks. That's okay, no problem. No problem at all. But it's going to increase your debt. It's going to increase your debt more so far, right? That this may be the last stroke. See, you don't know which straw gonna break the camel's back in this debt. But they done dropped the debt pill, and they done just threw it away. They said, we gonna spend money. Now they got to spend money. They want to spend it. They got to keep everybody with a pocket full of money. Why? The people are not gonna put up with being broke. And they done already increased the fear in the people. All the money they gave away, they gave it to their homeboys first. Now they got all the people watching them closely. They got them watching them very closely. They said, this is what you did in 2008 and 9. We're going to watch this. You give them all the money, they too big to fail, and we too little to fail. Well, we should have been. They didn't give the people nothing. They took their houses. Do you know the increase in homelessness in California and all those places is because what happened back then? It was already headed that way, but they increased it. I want you to think about now. I want you to think about, they say, that's what boss man say, our economy is going to be rolling and by the end of this year. That's not possible, because the slide is still in. It's 30 million people right now getting unemployment. That's legal. We need unemployment. Next week, it'll be 35 million or 40 million. It may not stop till it's 50 million people, or somewhere around there. But it don't make no difference. If you got to pay 30 million people to stay home, for how long? We want to get everybody out there. Again, Allah gonna just scramble up their brains. We got to get our money back in a hurry. Well, you can't get it back in a hurry. Why? Number one, it's still sliding. Inertia got it going down already. You can't get people back to work in a hurry, right? Because number one, 80% of the people don't want to be bothered with no work. They want to be alive. Them 2 or 3 people standing in front of state houses and talking out the side of their mouth, hey, somebody sent them there. The rest of America don't want to go. I don't care how many restaurants you open, the people ain't going in there. Not and sit down because they want to live. See, the numbers when they was 500 people, 1,000 people, when it's 64,000 something people, right? When it's 64,000 people today that have died, of course, now we know it's probably more than that because they don't count this, you know, they don't, this person died from it, they ain't gonna count this, they ain't gonna count that. Don't worry about it. But the numbers are staggering already. Do you know who has the highest number of people in the world? Is them. I mean, right here, that are passing away. All right. Or that he may not call them to account in the midst of their goings to and fro without a chance of their frustrating him. Or that he may not call them to account by the process of slow wastage. Slow wastage is what's happening. The idea about America being the great production engineers, they can't produce even stuff for themselves. You know, one governor happened to have a Korean wife. She got on the phone, her husband got on the phone and was telling them, look, girl, tell them people what we need over there. They your home folks. And she told them, and they sent it over. And you know what the governor had meeting the plane? It might have been a lady in Michigan, I don't know. She had the state police there. You know why? So the government wouldn't hijack the shipment. Let me go over that again. Go turn it on the news. Huh? It was Maryland. Yeah, it was Maryland. Right, throw a rock. There it is, Maryland right there. The governor of Maryland is married to a Korean lady, right? And so he called Korea. He saw all that fancy stuff they got. He said, we want some of that. Whatever, don't worry about it. It's like, what's the number? Don't worry about it. Just that stuff they got there, send us all of that you can. And then his wife told him, and told the company over there in Korea. They put it on a plane, and they shipped it. Now they're going to ship more. The Maryland State Police was right at the airport. No, BMW, right? Not BMW, BWI. It was BWI, right? The state police, them little funny Smokey the Bear hats, was out there to make sure that there's no piracy. Can you imagine what that looks like to the world? It's not only that. And Don, look here, Don is so crazy. Forget about the stock market. Look, if the stock market have all this bad news and it's going up for a while, you know there's something wrong. And the people said, well, the stock market don't reflect the economy. It don't. So Don, what is this? Chaos in the White House. That's what they got. Wealth distribution, rich, rich, rich. U.S. global leadership, buffoons, clowns, numbskulls, idiots are in the White House. And that's what the other white folks call them all day long. If you're watching anything but Fox News, they say this White House has gone crazy. That's the image of America the Great being brought down by a process of slow wastage. That's what it is. It's slow, it's serious. Look at here. See, all this didn't happen before the rise and fall of nations. Each one that is brought down, they think they're going to be there forever. The Ottoman Empire was there for 500 years. Uthmaniyya, it came down, sick man of Europe. The Roman Empire must have been there if it was Constantinople in about 1453. Well, for 2,000 years, the Roman Empire, 500 BC, right? Up to then. That's how the Romans was bad all that time. Then they came on down. They broke up. America, 20th century was the American century. And that was a time when no matter how mean and brutal America was, nothing happened. They could enslave blacks, whip stripes all upside our head and back. It didn't make no difference. They kept on expanding. Manifest destiny. They killed all the Indians. It was 6 million Indians here. Then there was around, when I was a kid, they said there was around 200 and some thousand. I remember a number of 247,000. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it wasn't hardly no Indians left in America. American Indians. First Nations peoples, right? They had stolen it all. They put them all on reservations and took the whole thing. And they were still a great democracy. The city on the hill, the beacon light, give us your poor, and give us your humble, and all of that, you know, the Statue of Liberty. But you could take a look at the Statue of Liberty. Down at the bottom, it's got all these chains. You know who that represents? Think I'm lying? Go to see the Statue of Liberty. Or just tap up Statue of Liberty and look at the bottom of it. Give us your poor and your humble. One of the Negroes, must have been Booker T. Washington or one of them. In the 1890s, he gave a speech. And he said about immigration, you bringing those immigrants here to do all of this work? He said, why not us? We have followed you tearfully to the grave. Talking about Negroes, he said, we have followed you tearfully to the grave. You know, when white folks died, how sad Negroes was? They was really sad. Some of them didn't have no sense, but some of them were sad. You know, and they repaid them with Plessy versus Ferguson, 1896, I think. Anyway, separate but equal, of course. So, global leadership, they don't have it no more. They're trying to blame China. Look, everything that the U.S. needed was produced overseas. And they did that to themselves. The Chinese didn't do it to them. They just figured, read the old books, Deindustrialization of America, 1980s. That's what they said. Americans in 1980, I remember some of my friends coming by, and they worked at GM. They made $20 an hour in 1980. That's 40 years ago. And the poor Negroes made $15 an hour in the middle class work. But GM had got so much money, you know. But GM had run itself crazy. Planned obsolescence. Planned obsolescence. That they want people to buy new cars all the time. So they make the cars to last 2 years, and then they fall apart, right? I remember the 1969 Cadillac had 50,000 and 5-year warranty. The 1970, you hit it, it'll fall, it'll bump, it'll knock a hole in it. It had 1 year and 12,000 miles, right? But the Japanese cars, the Toyotas and all of that, they burn a little gas, and the American cars, y'all probably wouldn't remember, this is a different time. You can't imagine a 4-barrel carburetor. If y'all remember what carburetors was before fueling. Carburetor, 4-barrel, that means it was 4 jets sucking up gas, and you got mileage. You got 9 miles in the city and 11 on the highway. Right? The Japanese cars, all of them. You know, they used to have a saying, so goes GM, so goes America. What's good for GM is good for America. That was in the 50s and the 60s. It ain't so anymore. Why? Because you got to go and find a car made by GM in America. Most of the police cars and all that. The rest of the cars are Mitsubishis, Toyotas, Hondas, everything, right? But the Euro make a few good trucks. All that finished. He cut his own throat. He cut his own throat. What is he doing now? Cutting his own throat. He's cutting his own throat, right? In fact, Chairman Mao used to have a saying that people who are like that are cutting the feet to fit the shoes. You know, when they used to make shoes, you cut the shoes to fit the feet, right? But those people like that are cutting the feet to fit the shoes. They make the shoes already, and then they cut the feet, destroy them, self-destruction, to fit the shoe. We'll wrap up with 1 or 2 more here. Those before them did also devise plots, but in all things the master planning is Allah. He knoweth the doings of every soul, and soon will the unbelievers know who gets home in the end. The people already made plots and plans. And what we want to say is this in closing. Dear believers, we live in a unique time. And sometimes we get kind of hung up in our own little goals and what we want to do and what part we would like to play. But Allah tells us, just take it easy. As He told the Prophet ﷺ, it's not your job to be a police officer over the people or to make them do anything. If they miss our signs, that's up to them. It ain't on you. You can show them sign after sign, lecture after lecture, this after this, year in and year out. You cannot get upset at them for them rejecting those signs, right? That's on them, right? It's not your job. Your job is to teach the message openly and clearly. It's Allah's job to call the people to account, put them to account. That's a big message because the Prophet ﷺ was a kind-hearted man. And kind-hearted people want their people, hey man, this is good. I wish y'all could get a bunch of this and take it home with you and try it. That's what they are. If you put it out there and it's there for them to take, if they don't take it, if they not miss the signs, they reject the signs. they could train themselves so that they don't see or don't recognize or don't understand the signs because they don't want to. So they close up their heart to this reality. If we want to play a proper role in this time we're living, and we want to try to maybe not make up for, but deal with some of the sadnesses in our history as a people. Every time we cooperate with this satanic system, we are almost to a letter rejecting the call of people that was brought over here. Some of them was brought over here. Some of them jumped off them boats so they wouldn't get here. And when one jumped, they all chained together, right? So they take everybody with them. Try to hear those voices. Don't you remember me? Do you remember me? Oh, you're going to think about your own little this or your own little that? That's good. This is the thing that the people who have good in their heart, it works on them. But Allah sent them the message. It ain't your job. You're not responsible. You can't make them do nothing. They'll look you in the face year in and year out and go right on, avoiding obvious things. You're not a police officer or a sergeant of arms to manage their affairs. This helps you keep working, but you can't be depressed because it don't have nothing to do with you. You ain't gonna, you don't want to, that's all right. You just have to keep on looking for better and better ways to bring that truth out. If you get to be 90% or almost 95% accurate on forecasting the direction in which the world is going on in detail and nobody else is even getting close, it's all right. Just keep on rolling. Right? It ain't your job. It's not your job. It's not your responsibility to outdo the whole world. But if they jump on that boat, if they jump on the U.S. Titanic, ain't no sense if they just getting on that boat and you said, don't get on the USS Titanic. And they said, I'm getting on this boat. The white folks is on this boat. All these rich people, John, Jacob, Astor, all them folks is on this here boat. I'll close with this. You know, y'all may not have been aware of a lot of Jubilee singers. And you may not have been aware of some of the historical realities. They said Jack Johnson wanted to get on the Titanic. They wouldn't let him. I'm not saying black people was glad, but you have to listen to the music around 1912, 1913, how happy they were about something. They were happy. Yes, they was. They were happy that all them people went to the bottom. So it shall be written, so it shall be there. I'm trying to tell you, it's a long story. O Allah, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and niggardliness. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice us with what is lawful Keep from us what is prohibited. With thy grace, make us free from want of what is besides thee. Ameen. Iqamati salam.